It seems like forever ago, a team like 100 Thieves had a video game they were working on for themselves. This is also around the same time Dr. Disrespect was working on his game, which he is now no longer tied to in Dead Drop, which is still set to release. I think we had other teams out there like OTK and other groups working on their games, and it was certainly during a point in a rise, and it continues to be a rise, of indie dev and these smaller studio-backed games coming into the scene, which is awesome. Unfortunately, ever since then, 100 Thieves have parted ways with their studio and are no longer directly working on said game, which was formerly known as Project X. In case you guys forgot details about this, there were very few to share at the time, and it was pretty well studio-backed, and according to Nadeshot, putting a couple $1 million into the game, but we really didn't see too much past this footage.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Today we're gonna be talking about Project X and the progress that we've made. I mean, this is the 5-year anniversary, so why not talk about probably the biggest swing we could possibly take here. Making a video game, you probably didn't expect it, and neither did we 5 years ago.
Welcome to the first ever 100 Thieves Project X playtest,
which was a combination of some of our creators, our pro players, and some of our employees to really take a stab at running around on this map and see what they think is fun.
All right. Yo, no shot. We're letting win this, right? No shot, right?
Play him, Ken.
What happened again?
Hey, Bill. Oh my God.
In about a minute, 25.
Jack, hold that. Red October, baby.
I'm the best in the lobby.
I got 2 kills.
That was a 3. 1, 2, 3.
But it truly was an exciting time because you had a lot of big faces in the streaming and gaming space now making video games. Ever since then, we've had someone like Shroud tied to games. It's Timmy. Mountaintop Studios has investors like them and Tarek alongside them. And it's really cool to see where these projects may or may not go. What Nadeshot further talks about in a podcast with Colin and Samir, it is a great one, so make sure to go check it out. And the reason why this project ultimately failed after even a couple $1 million being invested is the runway they had was, according to Nadeshot, just simply too short. And with everyone else and their mom trying to make games out there, like he said, it's like playing the lottery.
Is there an argument towards like 100 Thieves becoming an indie game developer?
Well, that's what we kind of started doing with Project X. We spun up a first-person shooter, made a bunch of hires, and it was actually great, but we just didn't have enough runway for the entire business for us to afford.
Sounds expensive.
It can be expensive. We were only putting a couple $1 million into the project, but we got to a certain point where we had a prototype, we were showing it off to other venture capitalist funds, and we were trying to raise like a separate round for the game itself. But at the time when we started raising it, it was hard to convince people like this thing was going to be a success, because making a studio hit video game is actually like incredibly hard. It's like playing the fucking lottery.
No guarantees.
Yeah. You see how many games are submitted every single day to Steam? I know indie games versus what we were trying to do is very different, but it's just a tough market right now.
I guess if anything, though,
checks.
the other side of that is that the passion behind and the amount of people who are making and submitting games is a good sign for the overall health of gaming and esports.
Oh, I think 90% of people, 95% of people out there have an issue only with executives in gaming versus like the people making the games.
And I remember at the time of all this being announced, 100 Thieves, unfortunately so, like many esports teams, were going through a double round of layoffs. Other gigantic teams like FaZe Clan and just about any other esports team you can name had at least a single round, if not also a double round during this time. It was certainly a downward period. The esports winter, which we are maybe, according to some, still currently in, it was around that same time they parted ways with this studio, and making of this game also parted ways with their energy drink company Juvie. That 100 Thieves faced a ton of backlash for maybe, outdoing themselves and overstretching their resources, but understandably so, I would say, was cutting the ties of making a video game and maybe fully understanding the market they were in, which is a very difficult one. If you guys can only imagine, let's imagine together, trying to make a video game here in 2024 with what we have seen over the past few years actually come up and go. That is a stress that I would never want, like ever.
And the decisions that are made from an overhead of just like appealing to shareholders or stock price is where, I think that's where the issue comes in. When Matt mentioned so much money is made, people totally see that and are like, well, then why are you still if they just made their most money ever off of insert this game, why are they still having to lay off 10% people? Because, well, if the game's not growing as much, it's still making good money. How are they going to appeal and make it look like the trajectory is still going up versus just like, hey, we had a year or two where we just sustained or maybe went down a little bit. It's like that just doesn't look right for investors.
Not only are you competing with AAA titles out there and billions of dollars of backing, you're also then competing with the guys who are just getting by, you know, the indie devs, which I hope nothing but the best of luck for them, who have very little to invest in marketing but hope for a blow up on TikTok or short form content, which sometimes it does happen. It's happened, I would say, more so in the past 5 years than ever before. But even then, the lifespan of those video games, even if you do find one that works, continuing that lifespan has to be one of the more difficult things, because it feels like everyone nowadays wants to make a video game or at least try to appease an audience out there of game players. And I can't imagine wanting to enter that market. You know, that would be difficult.
We good? Was that a good audio check? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had to bring in reinforcements. I've already tried to film this once myself. It was a catastrophic failure. Logan, can you throw in some a quick 15-second laugh track of bloopers of me trying to film this by myself?
We're gonna find the right way to. I'm here today to share with you the next. I'm here today, sitting in front of you. I think what's exciting for me, again, is I have no idea what I'm doing. I think between two cuts, there's something there.
Long story short, John and I have been working as hard as we can to build a business that can withstand the test of time. We've got teams that are winning on stage. We've got the best in class apparel, the best content in all of gaming. And so we've been trying to fire from all cylinders. In that same light, this has been something that we've been talking about, working on now for probably about 2 years, really.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this. It was something that we didn't think was possible for a long time, for the beginning, like the early stages of 100 Thieves. And then I think in the last couple of years, as we've talked about it, the possibility we might be able to do this has become very real, so.
Okay, so let's stop being around the bush. Here at 100 Thieves, over the next few years, we are going to be making our own video game. We're making a game. You know, the ones that you play with a controller or a keyboard or a mouse?
But that is the short, simplified version, according to Nadeshot, as to why Project X unfortunately failed, at least directly with 100 Thieves. You know, it's kind of one of those things. You kind of just got to dip your toes in the water sometimes to understand the business, and then you find out, okay, that's not the business that we are here for. And that seems to be a redirection of 100 Thieves and other teams out there figuring out what they want to do in the gaming space to make themselves self-sustainable. And it seems for now that making a video game is not a part of that plan in the slightest. So what do you guys think about this? How are you guys having a good day so far? I sure am. I'm staying hydrated. I'm gonna go drink a double espresso as per usual. Till next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you back here tomorrow.